You know, when studying history, there's especially historical battles. Usually, you find one event that turns the tide of the battle around. In Waterloo, for me, it was Marshal Ney's cavalry charge when Wellington basically retreated his troops. That basically ended any chance of Napoleon winning at Waterloo. Nancy Pelosi did the same thing yesterday when she announced that she was going to seek articles of impeachment for President Donald Trump. Welcome to your weekly broadcast of Talk. We're your hosts, Eddie Marmolejo
and Jaime Moreno.
This week, we're going to, like I just said, we're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi's astonishing announcement that she will seek articles of impeachment on President Trump. But before we begin with all that, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, share our content, follow us on both Instagram and Facebook, tell your friends, and join us on every week. Comment below, tell us your thoughts, become interactive with us. That way we can have fun discussions, we can see what we can work on and see what content we can bring you guys. But with that, Jaime, what's going on with Pelosi?
So pretty much, we've all known for the past 2 years and a half that the Democrats and the mainstream media have asked the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to impeach President Trump. We've been hearing that he has committed obstruction of justice, that he has committed corruption, that he has received help from a foreign source or foreign interference into the American election in 2016. Despite the Mueller report, despite what came out and what was revealed in the investigation and, some questionable behavior, even after the Mueller report came out, Ms. Speaker Nancy Pelosi said no to articles of impeachment. Now, let's go back a little bit farther in history, in this year, right? When Ms. Daniels came out saying that she was paid by President Trump's lawyer to not say anything about her affair with President Trump, no impeachment. When Charlottesville came out and they said that the president was supporting white supremacy and was racist, even though they took a lot of things out of context, Nancy Pelosi said no impeachment. When when President Trump fired Comey, the FBI director, Nancy Pelosi said no impeachment. When the Mueller report was released and came out publicly, Nancy Pelosi said no impeachment. Okay? Now, what's going on? A president of the United States had a conversation with the president of Ukraine. They were talking about his election and, he was congratulating him on his victory and so on and so forth. They talked about the European Union. They talked about Angela Merkel and how she's not doing enough to help Ukraine. And they had some agreements. And then President Trump asked a simple question. Hey, there's rumors, right? There's rumors that Joe Biden's son or maybe Joe Biden himself is involved in some corruption scandal. Do you think you can find something out about that? That was it. After that came out, a whistleblower said that President Trump committed something so offensive that he or she had to come out with it. And after this came out, which was yesterday. Now Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, says...
Well, no. The whistleblower was last week, sorry.
Oh, the whistleblower was last week. I do apologize. The whistleblower was last week. Now Nancy Pelosi says we must impeach President Trump. He is a danger to American affairs. He is a danger to American sovereignty. He is a danger to our society. He must be impeached. Why, Ms. Pelosi? Why do you ask that? Because there might be potential dirt on Joe Biden? What do you think, Eddie?
So, like I just brought the analogy of Marshal Ney going all in on a strategic move by Wellington, right? This is not a strategic move by Trump, by the way, but it's the illusion, right? It's the illusion that this whistleblower was offended, and that offense provides significant motive to seek articles of impeachment on the president. But we here in Talk, we say, well, where's the evidence? Where's the logic behind all this? What exactly was said between President Zelensky of the Ukraine and President Trump, because it would have to be something
so extreme,
so
right?
extreme that you could say, well, I need to go talk to the Inspector General of the intelligence community to tell Congress that President Trump is providing what's that?
He's doing a corrupt deal.
No. Quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo,
on something. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? And why is this turning out now? Like, what is going on? So the transcript is available to all of you. We'll post a link for the transcript if you guys want to read it yourselves. But we also gotta
some background.
Some background. So
before Eddie starts reading it, he's in a pretty much what's going on is when the president is speaking on the phone, it's being recorded. But it's not actually being recorded like an audio is recording it, okay? It's someone listening into the conversation, okay? Someone has headphones and is listening to the conversation and writing down notes, okay? Writing down notes on what is being said. It's not like, Siri is recording your conversation. It's not like, Alexa recording your conversation. It's none of that. It's someone somewhere else, we don't know where they're at, taking notes and trying to write verbatim what the president and the other person on the other line are saying. Okay?
Correct.
So there could be problems. There could be problems with communication, meaning that the lines were cut or there was muffle or static or things like that. It could have been like they couldn't understand clearly what they said, or that the translator, when they were translating as they were speaking, maybe got confused or translated the wrong word or translated it differently than what was intentionally expressed, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen or could have happened during the transcript or any type of transcript, right? So it's not like, they're recording our voice like you're hearing our voice now. It's someone writing down the notes based on the conversation. So that's a little background on the transcript and the memorandum. Eddie's going to go ahead and read what supposedly was said between the president and the Ukraine president.
So the first quarter of this is congratulations on winning your election. You fought a hard-won election. It was kind of like mine when you had no chance. People give me and you won, so on and so forth. Then, like Jaime talks about, just mentioned, it goes into how Germany is not helping Ukraine against Russia and so forth. Blah blah blah, and then it gets into what everybody's focusing on. And it's in the fifth paragraph. Right? Fifth paragraph. Let me go.
Yeah, fifth paragraph.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm sorry, allergies.
Yeah, it's like the fifth paragraph, page 3. It's page 3. So the president, he asked, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. Now, CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity firm that basically was known to protect basically defeated the North Korean hack against Sony a couple years ago. It's basically a security firm that a lot of people use to prevent cyber attacks. So
it's kind of like McAfee, right? Or McAfee or Norton virus.
When we researched this puzzle, because it gave us a headache, CrowdStrike. Well, the president wants to find out if CrowdStrike was involved somehow with the whole situation in the Ukraine. Did they release information that they shouldn't have? Were they aiding one side and favoring the other? So that's one of the reasons why CrowdStrike is being mentioned in this memo. Okay, so to continue, it says, I guess you have one of your wealthy people, the server. So is this a CrowdStrike server? Is this an independent server? Is it a server that CrowdStrike manipulated? That's what is not known. Like again,
so they want to know how far.
Yeah, so they want to know what the connection between CrowdStrike and the server is. It one and the same? Is it something too different? They want to know what did what. Okay. They say the Ukraine has it, so that's the thing. There's a lot of things that went on. The whole situation. I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. Some of the same people that maybe were involved in this whole conspiracy, I guess you would want to call it that. I think you're surrounding yourself. I would like you to have the Attorney General call you or your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it. As you saw yesterday, the whole nonsense ended with the very poor performance by Robert Mueller. He's referring to the Mueller testimony. And an incompetent performance, which it was. But they say a lot of it started with the Ukraine. Whatever you can do, it is very important that you do it if it's possible. So why is he talking Ukraine? When the whole investigation with President Trump began was about Russian collusion, right?
Supposedly, right?
So yeah, supposedly. So
that the many people in the Trump administration
Yes.
or in the campaign
Yes.
were getting information or working with the Russians
Yes.
to interfere or cheat or steal
Right.
the U.S. election system. But obviously, Mueller report said that there was no contact between Trump's people and the Russians. The Russians did hack some stuff in there and did misinformation, but it wasn't like, Trump told them do it, right?
Yes. So it all goes back to Paul Manafort. And Paul Manafort was campaign manager for President Trump, right?
For some time, yeah.
For some time. And then there was this leak of Manafort's accounts, finances, and so forth. And there was a lot of questionable activities. Now, what's interesting is that Paul Manafort solidified a strong presence in the Ukraine and also had very strong connections to Russia. And this created the assumption that somehow if he was involved in businesses or corrupt businesses in the Ukraine and in Russia and is working for Trump, that somehow all three pieces are tied together.
Well, when we remember the Mueller report,
Yeah.
there's no connection.
There's no connection. So there was no
So
connection.
Manafort's business
was Manafort's business. If Manafort was dirty, that was his business. Should the presidential campaign vetted Manafort further? That's on them. You knew the risk when you hired Manafort. If so, let it be that.
But the Mueller report obviously came out that there was no connection.
There's no connection between
right now. Manafort himself is doing time
Right.
for a lot of stuff that he has done himself,
Right.
some fraud stuff, some illegal activity on his own sake, not illegal
Right.
activity for the president or on behalf of the president or instructed by the president or any of the president's people.
Correct.
So that's just a summary of the Mueller report. Remember?
So that came out, the leak came out, and that was an intent to sway voters away from Trump in support of Hillary. Now, this is where it all starts making a little sense. Who released the information? Who is responsible and to what purpose? Was it CrowdStrike? Was it somebody in the DNC? Who? We all heard the rumors of the DNC having deals in the Ukraine during that election. Now we have this, but there's something more interesting that it came to light as you read the transcript, which I'm about to get to. But for the first part that I want you to find out why there's so much interest in the Ukraine and why this whistleblower is probably going to say something is because it ties back to the Russian investigation. It ties back to Trump. And this is honestly, just for me, is a continuation of that. And you'll see why in a minute. But as of now, the president is asking, can you look into that? Can you look into who's responsible? Okay? So Zelensky agrees. He says, like, yes, I will appoint a prosecutor that will look into this. We will find the right people. We'll get to the bottom in the name of cooperation with the United States. And forth.
Also, remember, the Prime Minister of Ukraine was elected to help fight corruption. So in the transcript, it also speaks on how he's going to clean out some things, be more transparent in investigations, be more just and democratic, and actually go by the rule of law in investigating things or allegations of corruption within his own country and his own government.
So, yes, correct. So he says, good. He says good after everything you pointed out, right? He says good. I heard he had a prosecutor who's very good, and he was shut down, and that was really unfair. Now, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready. Okay? A lot of people are talking about that, the way they were shut down. A very good prosecutor, and you had some very bad people involved. Mr. Giuliani is highly respected man. He was the man he was talking about, blah, blah. Giuliani is a very competent man. He's going to help you out. I want you to basically work with him. Right? And it's also talking about the former ambassador to the United States, too, who was a very bad woman, according to the transcript. But here is the other thing. And that's how it starts. The other thing there's a lot of talk about Biden's son. That Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the attorney general would be great. Biden went bragging around that he stopped the prosecution. So if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me. So this is where media is saying, well, he's pressuring the Ukraine to look at Biden. And I'm like, that's not what he's asking.
They're pretty much trying to say what they've been trying to say about Hillary Clinton in the Mueller investigation, right? That President Trump paid Russians or contacted Russians to get dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Now, the transcript here, they're trying to say that President Trump is trying to get dirt
on Joe Biden.
On Joe Biden.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But remember, like Eddie is saying, it all started with what's going on with the whole Ukraine corruption scandals, what's going on with Manafort and CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
And he also says, you know what? I also know, and he says it, and it's clear that, hey, Joe Biden stopped the prosecution, right? And because of it, a lot of people are asking what really happened. Why did he stop the prosecution? And not only that, he's walking around bragging about how he got the Attorney General of the country of Ukraine fired. And there's videos of Joe Biden saying that he got him was fired. So Eddie, can you continue?
So the question becomes, like Jaime just pointed out, why did you need this prosecutor fired? And why would you threaten $1 billion removing $1 billion worth of aid to the Ukraine?
Well, it doesn't say it on the transcript.
No. Right? It's just saying this is the question, right?
Yeah.
This is the
so
question.
What's going on is, let's get some background. Joe Biden is saying that he threatened Ukraine in withholding $1 billion.
Right.
All right. That he was not going to give Ukraine $1 billion of military funding until they fired this prosecutor.
Yeah.
And until they fire this prosecutor, no money is going to give to Ukraine.
Right.
And there's video there where Joe Biden is talking about it, and he brags about it, just like Trump says. And he says, you know what? I told him no $1 billion. I won't give you $1 billion. If you don't believe me, ask the president. He's not going to do it because I said he's not.
Yeah, and I wish you would hold off on that because I want that line got me when I saw the video. And
but we'll get to it on that.
We'll get to it, yeah.
But pretty much that's what he says, right? So that's the background of Joe Biden. And then the guy gets fired.
Yeah, within they say 24 hours, the guy got 24 hours, the guy got fired. But as viewers, or when you read this, so what is going on? Why did he get that prosecutor fired, or what was he looking into that he needed to get fired? And it comes out to light that that prosecutor was investigating a company in which Joe Biden's son was a board member of and got paid a certain amount of money.
A lot of money.
I think it was $3 million.
$3 million as a board member. Of that Ukrainian company.
Yeah, so, I was like, he got paid. So
real good money.
Yeah, so $3 million.
Shoot, I want to be a board member and get $3 million. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so.
What's the name of the company?
Burisma Holdings.
Burisma Holdings?
Burisma Holdings. So, whatever business they were in, I cannot tell you at this time, but the prosecutor was looking into it. So this is where it starts getting shaky for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm saying that whatever's found out about this is not going to hurt President Trump. Because President Trump, based on this memorandum and based on what he's asking for, he's saying, look, is there a server that tells us the truth? Who was involved in the Ukraine? Please let me know. I want the truth. I want to be transparent, right? Because he's asking for transparency. Look, y'all may hate the President Trump. Y'all may not like this guy. But everything he said so far has been true. You may not like the guy. You may think he's an a-hole. You may think he's a racist. But the Mueller report didn't prove anything. And he's asking a foreign leader
to look into something.
that
happened
within his country. that allegedly influenced an election.
Supposedly.
Yes, I said allegedly.
I know, but some people might understand
supposedly influenced influenced an election. So he's trying to find out the truth.
But before we go on to the analysis too, we also want to make clear that in the transcript, Trump doesn't say, if you give me this information, I'm going to give you money.
Right.
Hey, if you find out for this, I'm going to give you more money.
Right.
Hey, if you don't tell me this, I'm not going to give you money. Remember, the mass social media and the Democrats are saying that Trump is offering to help or offering to give money to a country in exchange for information.
Right.
That's not what the transcript is saying. That's not the conversation that happened between him and the president. That type of conversation happened between Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, and former president of the Ukraine. Joe Biden himself says, hey, I told the president, fire this guy or no money is going to give to you.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to give you any money. He did what I told him and I gave him the money. That happened between Joe Biden and the former Ukrainian president. Get that? Just understand that. That happened. That quid pro quo happened between Joe Biden and former Ukraine president. Trump didn't ask this man, hey, give me information and I will give you money. He never threatened the president to say, he never threatened Ukraine saying, if you don't give me information, I'm going to withhold money. No, that never happened. That conversation was not transcribed. That conversation never happened. But we do have video and links where it did happen between Vice President Joe Biden and former president of Ukraine back in the day.
Yeah, well, he brags about it. He brags about it.
So we just want to clear that up. So continue.
So the question becomes, like, now we're gonna get to this analysis thing. Like, so the president didn't offer that, but like Jaime just pointed out, Biden does. He says he brags about it. I mean, I don't know if the guy should have kept his mouth shut, but he brags
like
about
69
it.
right now.
Yeah, he's just bragging about it. I'm like,
69.
Okay, so you just publicly admitted that when you were vice president, you threatened to not give foreign aid if this prosecutor, who is now looking into your son's company, to be fired. Like, you threatened, if this guy does not get fired, I don't give you money. If I was that whistleblower and if I knew that conversation, that's the type of conversation that you go to the IG, the intelligence community of the IG, and you tell them, look, this guy, I feel offended by that. You know, I feel offended. I mean, this guy's telling me he's gonna help one of our allies if we don't fire his son because his son is involved in dirty business. That's conflict of interest. I don't know if
that's corruption. Obstruction of justice. Obstruction of justice. To fire the prosecutor looking investigating a company.
Yes.
Which your son is a board member of. That's called obstruction of justice. Now, clear obstruction of justice.
Now, what I want to make clear is that we're not accusing Joe Biden's son of corruption.
No.
What was fishy at this time, it was suspicious, if we want to get into legal terms.
Highly suspicious.
Is why did a company that was being looked into for dirty business pay $3 million to the vice president's son? We don't know. That's the dirty part. Now,
that's the questionable
part. So with all that being said, right, how is this not looking more bad for Joe Biden than it is from President Trump? For me, President Trump got cleared in that 5th paragraph. I mean, look, I'm not kidding. He's just saying, I want to know about what's going on. And looking at Joe Biden. And looking at Joe Biden. What I'm not liking from mainstream media is that they're focusing on, can you look into Joe Biden? But what about the 6 sentences before that? What about him asking, hey, can we get to the bottom of this? Mm-hmm. Because it's affecting my country. It has divided my country. We don't even know who's involved. We can make no arrest. Clearly, I'm not the one. And we don't know who it is. But there's rumors that some people in your country had something going on that may have
some investigation
going on. And there's rumors that Joe Biden was in there. Can we just get something clear? You know, what it is. If it comes to light, it comes to light, whatever. But mainstream media is saying that he's forcing the Ukraine. Where's the threat of withholding funds? Where's the threat of withholding military aid? Where's the threat of siding with Putin? Right, as we know, Putin invaded Ukraine and took Crimea and annexed Crimea. I mean, where is all that? It's not in this memorandum, transcript, whatever you want to call it. I don't see it. And the mainstream media, once again, is focusing on the wrong things. Why? Because it's gonna bring out dirt on Vice President Joe Biden. And that line that Jaime mentioned before, he said, if you don't believe me that we're not going to pay you $1 billion, call the president. Now, when I hear that line, there's a thing that I'm assuming here. Did President Barack Obama know that the Ukraine was investigating a company that the vice president's son was a part of? And did the president give the vice president the authority to say what he said to his counterparts in the Ukraine? And if that's the case, are we talking about obstruction of justice and for foreign power with the ex-president, with the former president of the United States? That's an extreme. I mean, that's just I'm trying to tie things together because this is one big puzzle. But it's like,
for Joe Biden to speak with such certainty and such hardline stance on Ukraine at the time, to say, if you don't believe me, call the president himself. Pretty much he's going to back me up, right? Yeah, that means, because remember, the president is the only person within the constitutional powers to negotiate foreign treaties. No one can do that. No senator, no House Speaker, nobody. Only the president can negotiate foreign treaties. That means that if Joe Biden was President Obama's liaison to Ukraine, that means he approved whatever decision making he would make. That means that he was aware of whatever threats or whatever negotiation tactics he was going to use against Ukraine. Right? It's like if you go and speak for your boss at a company affair, or you represent your company at a convention or whatever. You know, you go with the authority of your company, you represent the company, and whatever, you know, your manager, your company gives you the power to make negotiations or make negotiations or business, right? And nothing can be approved unless you get approval, right? Same thing. Joe Biden must have had approval from President Obama. Now, I know we're going to President Obama, we're going to back, but pretty much what we're trying to say is, if Joe Biden is publicly announcing that he said, Ukraine, you're not getting $1 billion until you fire the prosecutor, and they fired the prosecutor, I'm proud of what I did, then we should look into why that happened, the real reasons why. And President Trump, in the transcript, is asking the president of Ukraine, the current president of Ukraine, what happened? What really happened there? What happened within your country's investigation? What happened into your prosecutor? Why was your prosecutor fired? Right? Why? What happened? Tell me what happened. We need to clarify this. Right? And that's all he asked. That's all he was mentioned. And now now Speaker Pelosi wants to impeach the man.
Impeach the man because why? Because he's looking into your boy?
He's looking into your good friend Joe Biden?
And that was not even his intention. He just brought up all these charges coming out of Ukraine, right? He says, like, and you know, there's this rumor about this too. Oh no, but he's going after my friend Joe Biden, and there's actually connections there. Oh,
could there be connections there?
And how far does this go? Is it going to bring to light everybody is involved? Are you involved, Speaker Pelosi? Is that why you want to impeach the president? Talk to me. Anyways, I'm not saying
you can't handle the truth. That's getting
you can't handle the truth. Did you order the Russian collusion?
So what we're saying is, we're pretty much saying in MM Talk, out of all the many, many reasons or allegations to impeach the president, and the biggest of them all was obstruction of justice and Russia collusion, right? Remember, that was been on the news headlines for 2 years.
Right.
And it turned out that it was all just propaganda and just an over-exaggeration of the facts.
Right.
Right? So even at the time, she said no on impeachment. But this comes out because the president asked to find out what really happened with Joe Biden and the prosecutor. Now Ms. Pelosi wants to impeach the president. Now she claims the president is a threat. Now she claims that the president must be removed from office because he is disgraced and has ruined U.S. sovereignty. Really?
I don't see the evidence. I don't know if anybody else has found something that proves beyond this transcript so far that the president has violated some sort of laws. But as of now, we have to say no. It's more fishy for Joe Biden. And if you don't believe me, who's now beating Joe Biden in the polls? Elizabeth Warren. Everybody thought Joe Biden was going to be the front runner, and allegations like this is already affecting Joe Biden. So it's interesting that we're starting to see the effects of that. But it has the makings of Russian collusion 2.0, right? because it goes from a whistleblower who goes to the Washington Post, who, again, that's how it started with Russia, right? You had you had a Steele dossier.
Another cycle.
And goes to the Washington Post. The Washington Post reports it. But that's not the job of the intelligence community. That's not the job of the intelligence community. And what's his name? Paul, what's his name again?
Phil Mudd.
Phil Mudd, who's a big-time Trump hater. He was a former intelligence analyst. He works for CNN. He said that is not the job of the intelligence community to hear the president's conversations and go cry to mommy or Congress in this case about the president's decisions or actions with the foreign leader. That's the president's prerogative. And he's a Trump hater.
Big-time Trump hater. He actually thought Attorney General Barr was going to impeach President Trump. He literally is on record saying that.
Yeah.
Okay? So Phil Mudd from CNN, who used to work for the Bush administration.
Yes, correct.
Says that what's going on now with this whistleblower on tattling on what the president is talking and what the president is saying between another leader is not right. It goes against everything the intelligence community stands for.
Right.
The intelligence community is supposed to be spying or finding information on our enemies. Not the president of the United States. The president of the United States can say whatever he wants, do whatever he says. He can even talk about
within his legal powers.
In his powers, to a foreign leader. They could talk about burgers for all he cares. He could talk about how he likes pink over red, or he prefers red hats over blue hats. Who cares? Right. We're going to get mad because he's talking about that and just go ahead and do whistleblowing investigation over what should be a confidential conversation between two world leaders.
So now we had what?
They're overbearing on President Trump.
Yeah.
The Dems and the mass social media hate Trump so much that they're breaking the fine lines. They're breaking the protocols. They're breaking the rules of what is presidential privilege, of what is privacy, of what is confidential. They want to know everything that goes on, every little single thing that he talks, he says, he mentions. Really? Has any president in the past been that much scrutinized other than Nixon? And that's because of 8 minutes of tapes. And didn't even do that much of a...
And what sucks is that he recorded himself.
Yes, he recorded himself. Which is even worse. Like, you record your own self, But what we're saying is that... What I'm trying to say is that President Trump spoke to a foreign leader.
Yes.
There's nothing in there that says, there's no threats or promises
of anything
in exchange for information. All they're talking about is regular business stuff. Even the Ukraine president this morning came out and said, dude, he never pushed me to do anything. He never forced me to do anything. We just had a simple conversation. We talked. You read the transcript. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah. But what do you guys think? I mean, is this going to be Russia collusion 2.0? We already have Adam Schiff claiming that, the president broke the Constitution again. We're going to have to look into it.
Adam Schiff, the same guy who said
that we had a slam dunk case. We have it. I mean, this is easier than OJ. He didn't say that, by the way.
Easier than OJ. He might as well have said that, right? Might as well have said that.
The glove does fit in this case. But, stuff like that. He fell there, so now we have another slam dunk case. We have the transcript.
All we're looking at, or my analysis on this, is that pretty much 2020 is coming up. Yeah. Right? They're trying to get President Trump out of office, either win him in the election or impeach him.
No,
right?
That's done.
And impeachment obviously is not going to work right now.
No.
And by the time the articles go through and the investigation, by the time it even gets to the Senate, the 2020 election has already happened or will have happened.
I just view it this way. Like I said before, Democrats just lost 2020 because you had the Speaker of the House on no basis or no clear evidence seek impeachment on the President of the United States. If you had no evidence of collusion and obstruction in the Mueller report, and there's no clear evidence here, do you think voters are going to really trust your side on anything, especially independent voters? Mm-hmm. Good luck with that on 2020. That's why I said, as soon as Nancy Pelosi made that announcement yesterday, you gave a clear pathway for President Trump in 2020. It's over. It's over. And Joe Biden, you can kiss your campaign goodbye. In fact, you should resign as tomorrow.
You should quit the campaign.
I hope you do so, because we will have an in memoriam for the next set of fallen candidates, and I expect you to be on that list.
Please be on the list.
President Biden, pack up your things, go to a non-extradition treaty country. No, I'm kidding about that, but your campaign is done. It's over. Shut it down. Democrats, you're done in 2020. It's over. It's over.
Well, we'll see if this impeachment proceeding actually sticks to the president. People, average person has really good common sense. We're really rational people. We look at, evidence and stuff like that. And although people can talk and say, we look at the evidence, right? So we trust that the voters actually look past this. I'm not saying they're all going to vote for Trump. I'm not saying that we all should vote against Trump. But all I'm saying is that look at the behavior that's going on. The precedent that Congress and the mass social media is setting up for future generation of presidents, future generation of politicians, right? A conversation. You think world leaders are going to want to speak to the president freely from now on?
Yeah.
Right? They probably won't even be able to express themselves freely.
They won't be able to trust them because now
it's being watched and recorded. Sorry, you were going to say that too,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
It's being recorded and it's going to come out in the news of any conversation that they have. You think that's going to help our foreign relations? Really? That isn't going to help. That's going to make matters worse. That's going to make people less trustful of the United States.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're overbearing on executive power. We're overbearing on conversation between world leaders. We're overbearing. They're abusing their power, right? Because they hate this president so much. They're abusing their own power in the name of justice, in the name of freedom, in the name of democracy, in the name of truth seekers, in the name of whatever the hell they want to call it. But in reality, if you really look into it, it's more of a socialist overtaking of ideas, conversations, and speech. Sorry, that's my analysis.
No, that's right. And then, like I said, so this is no bueno for the Democrats. This is a self-inflicted wound. I don't think you're going to recover. But what do you guys think? Make sure you leave your comments below. Please let us know what's going on. Do you think Trump is going to walk freely out of this? You think he's not? What do you think this is going to do to Democrats? What do you think this is going to do to Republicans? So,
and also, what do you think it's going to do to us as a nation?
As a nation, yes.
When we look at the way our leaders are behaving and how our country is going to move forward with better leadership and better leadership, pretty much.
Yeah. And with that being said, we'll tune into next week. This is Jaime Moreno, and I'm Eddie Marmolejo. This is MM Talk, and remember, we're tired of it too.